call the meeting order. Bill, you still lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess first off, I'll introduce David Merzig, our new town attorney.
Yes.
So all you guys can put a face with a name. And,
Hopefully we won't have to see you very much.
Well, that does raise a question that I sometimes with my towns have to deal with, and that is, I'm more than happy, call me anytime. The only thing that if it's best if you route things through the supervisor, because sometimes I'll get one call from another, and then another call from another, and another call from another, then a call from the supervisor. So again, as long as he's happy, I'm happy to talk to you. I'm available all the time. 432-4242. Just call me and you'll find out how easy it is. And I always try to give exactly the same information every single time. You don't necessarily hold me to that, but also, you can email me anytime. It's davidmerzig@yahoo.com. No dots, no dashes, just pop things out to me and we'll be happy to respond.
Good to have you.
It's,
Should we introduce ourselves?
we'll be back.
Yeah, we can go down through, we'll introduce,
Yeah, I'm Al Perkins.
Hi, Al.
I'm Tom Little.
Okay.
you know me.
Hi, Ann.
I'm Matt Christen.
And
Bill Cairns.
Bill Howard.
And Al's my deputy supervisor.
I see, so I
If
have
for some
to
reason
pick
I'm
who-
out of town,
I have to pick who to
carry me
obey.
in, you can deal with them.
Costa Rica.
Costa
Don't
Rica,
extra that.
yeah.
He'll get you.
Anybody have any questions for Dave while he's here, or? Like I said, I'll email you the others'
Okay.
information there. And,
You want me to hang out, or I'm happy to go?
actually, if you wanna hang out for a minute, cause I
I might have to
think
kneel.
Glenn's
What's
gonna,
that?
we've got a grant
Yes,
that we applied for.
Oh, yeah, I know.
For sports
I was
field.
missing any hours to kneel though, as long as you don't let me go.
So Glenn supposedly has information for us, I think, tonight on the grant.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, you're up, Glenn.
All right. I have information I have information on the grant, and then also there was a resolution in the packet for your consideration to accept the grant. And everybody was here. Back in June, May or June, we applied for a grant to encourage Sportsfield Specialties to undertake a project in Delhi. That was approved in December for $225,000. The way we had discussed it at the time we were applying, and still up for you to decide, that my office prepared the grant on behalf of the town and submitted it. Now that it was approved, the process moving forward would be for the town to pass a resolution accepting the grant. After that, I've got the process laid out. It was in your packets, but I guess this is for everybody else. So that's the first step. Second step would be for the town supervisor to sign the grant agreement with OCR. That spells out all the conditions of the grant. This would need, if you decide to accept it, this would need to be done by February 1st, signing the grant agreement and sending it back to them. Then after that, again, if up to your choosing, the IDA had offered to serve as a subrecipient of the grant, to administer the grant, make sure all the rules are followed, all the reports submitted, make sure all the expenditures are eligible, things of that nature. So then, after you accept the grant and sign the grant agreement, then the town supervisor would potentially enter into a sub-recipient agreement with the IDA to administer it. Going along that path as if the IDA was gonna serve as a subrecipient. The IDA would complete environmental review process on behalf of the town. That would include seeker review and NEPA. Now, seeker for the project has already been done by the town planning board, so it would just be following the steps through a NEPA review, which is the federal version of seeker. And then the IDA would submit the findings to the Office of Community Renewal, who will agree, disagree, whatever. And then, because I know that, the seeker was a negative determination that there would be no impact, it's not anticipated that there would be anything more than potentially a 30-day public comment period on the results of the environmental impact review. Once that is approved, the town would submit a request for release of funds. Basically, that just says, we've accepted the grant, we've completed all the steps, we believe we're ready to commence with the project. If you agree, to OCR, if they agree, then they provide you notice that you're ready to proceed, and the project can then proceed. Subsequent to that, there would be drawdown requests. This is a reimbursement request, or a reimbursement grant, and it's based on the purchase of machinery and equipment down at Sportsfield Specialties. So they would be required to purchase the equipment, and then we would submit proof of that they purchased the equipment, as well as proof that the vendors were paid, and then submit that to OCR for the partial reimbursement through the grant. When that happens, the Office of Community Renewal would wire the funds into a non-interest bearing account held by the town of Delhi. The IDA would submit a voucher according to whatever your process is for payment of those funds to the IDA, and then the IDA will make the payment directly to Sportsfield Specialties. In addition to that, there are semi-annual and annual reports. Again, that would be a duty of the IDA if you choose to have us as a subrecipient. We would complete all that work, as well as a project closeout agreement with OCR when all the funds are expended and all the requirements are met. But prior to closeout, the IDA would hold a final public hearing on the grant program, how the funds were used, what the outcomes were, and so forth and so on. So that's kind of the process moving forward if you do choose to move forward. I mentioned there was a resolution in your packet, or if not, I have a copy here. That basically says that the town was awarded a grant of $225,000, that you're, if you approve it, that you would be accepting the receipt of such funds. You would authorize the town supervisor to enter into the grant agreement, as well as enter into a subrecipient agreement with the IDA, and also to establish a non-interest bearing account for the receipt of funds.
So to me, the main part is that we're trying to get you to do the work for us as far as
Yes,
administering it.
absolutely.
And the only other option is we do it ourselves, which we're not built to do. And
Right, I mean, we could walk you through the process. It's more time consuming than it is hard.
Well, I'm not volunteering. And so what's in it for IDA?
Well, what's in it for us is that we help the business, which is what our job is. Also, within the grant, it was for $225,000. The IDA, well, technically, the IDA would have the ability to draw down up to $8,000 of that fund to cover administrative costs, which really, because the employees of the IDA are technically county employees, just goes back to reimburse the county for their time spent on the administration of this grant. Also, within that $8,000, it's contemplated that if the town is required to do a single-purpose audit because of the receipt of these federal funds, that, that money would be allocated to cover the town's costs for that as well.
So what do you think, Mr. Attorney?
Do not delay. Vote in favor. You do not want to be administering this.
No.
This is what IDA does all the time. They're earning their money, but it's not your taxpayers' money, it's all our collective taxpayers' money that are paying it, but they're good at it, and believe me, you don't wanna they swim in those waters all the time, and you don't ever wanna swim in those waters unless you have to.
Yeah, I think that was the original discussion, we would have them administer everything for us. Okay, so first step, if we're all agreeable,
Make a motion
make a motion to accept the resolution.
make a motion resolution, and the IDA do the paperwork.
Do you know what resolution number this is gonna be, Nancy?
One.
Number one, that's right, it's number one. Sure. And you've all got a copy in front of you now. It's the last
Yeah,
page.
Glenn, what I
of
have
the
here
packet
says
that Nancy
copy.
just gave you.
I mean, we'll have to sign it, can you maybe email it to me or something so I can get a original signature?
Yeah, I'm not sure what got dropped off for
I
you.
just gave it to Al.
Oh, great. Yeah, I can just email this to you and then you can put it in
Yeah,
your
that's-
format.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this resolution just says that, be it resolved, the town of Delhi hereby authorizes and directs the town of Delhi supervisor to formalize acceptance of the grant award and to work with executive director of the Delaware County Industrial Development Agency, take any and all steps necessary to secure the funding, including but not limited to executing the New York State Community Development Block Grant Agreement and Subrecipient Agreement with Delaware County Industrial Development Agency, and establishing a non-interest bearing account for specific use of this grant.
Dan's made the motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Al. Do we need to call a roll call on this one?
Please.
Probably.
Yes.
Okay, Al,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes. Okay.
Glenn, can you in
yeah.
30 seconds or less explain what this grant's gonna be used for, a little more detailed than what it is, says on here? It says, you know, retain jobs and to create jobs with expansion, but do you know what?
Yeah, Sportsfield Specialties is gonna do a 56,000 square foot expansion, about $8 million. It's gonna create 35 jobs over the next 3 to 5 years. When we first got involved with them, honestly, they were potentially considering incentives that they had received from other states in terms of relocating this project down to an adjacent facility, adjacent to a facility they currently own in North Carolina. And they said, this is what North Carolina is doing for you, you know, for us. Is there any incentives that'd be available to them if they stayed? And so this application was one portion of that, and then also we assisted them on another application directly to Empire State Development for $900,000 to support their project here as well.
Now, this grant's gonna go specifically for equipment.
This is gonna go specifically for equipment. I can't tell you exactly what pieces of equipment. I do have the equipment list. I didn't bring it with me, but, yeah.
Well, congratulations on getting the funding.
Ma'am, thank you.
Thank you for all the work.
Are there
Keep
any other
going.
questions?
Don't stop now.
Yeah.
Is this the copy that needs to be signed, or you have another?
Nope, that was just
This is for
for
us.
review. That was gonna be my next question. I've got the copy of the grant agreement and the subrecipient agreement. I didn't know if you wanted your attorney to review it, or we could just sit down with you and go over it. I mean, it's fairly standard, dictated by them, whichever you would prefer.
I'd like to
I've got copies right
Yeah,
here.
just give me a copy.
Yeah.
I'll review it. Again,
What
it's,
what is this one? It was in your envelope.
Did we try, did we? Give me a second. Yep. I don't know what this stuff is.
Oh, it was in
It
your
looks like a pack
Burn
of,
the disc.
that's a
Yeah, I
power
think this
line
was something different.
transmission disc, I think.
Yeah, I got it. I reviewed it today.
Yeah, no problem. Are there any other questions?
look at it and get back to
Yeah,
us?
you can get back
Yeah,
to me
let-
anytime.
Yeah, if I have any questions, I'll call Glenn directly. Otherwise, I'll email you that I reviewed it, it's fine. Again,
Okay,
I've seen dozens of them. It's sort of the, you don't have to sign it unless you don't want the money. If you want the money, you're gonna sign it.
It's
Anyway,
pretty
so-
much all prescribed by the
Yes.
now
state.
should we just have a motion
Well, you
to
can,
authorize me to sign these?
that's in
Yeah,
the
that was
motion.
Upon your recommendation?
Well, that's the motion you've already
That's part of
made.
the resolution.
So you already been authorized to do that, so.
If you
just
agree with it.
Let me, let me take a look at it. But
Just
again, there's
email
a
me.
99% chance that unless they figure out some way to nick it somehow, but again, if you want the money, you're gonna sign their agreement, so.
Okay.
Well,
Once
like I said, I'll take a
then
look at
I'll
it.
get together with you, Glenn, and.
Mhm, absolutely.
Get it signed.
Okay,
I guess that's all.
all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yep.
Glenn.
Like you do.
Well, yeah, that's why, I was a little bit late. I was, struggling with my hair, what to do with it tonight, so.
Well, now you're built for speed, so you should have gone faster.
It's nice and refreshing out.
Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, that was a fundraising effort for a girl that's got cancer. And,
Telemaster.
they, kind of made a deal with some people that if they raised more money, then they would shave their heads. And a lot of heads got shaved.
Yeah, that right there was about a $500 haircut.
It was definitely for a good cause. All right, anybody else for privilege of the floor?
You'll forgive me, unless you want me to hang around, I'm happy to, otherwise I'll go back with Dale.
Nope, I think we're good.
Thank you,
Thanks.
very nice
Thank
meeting
you very
you,
much.
again, we'll
Yep, yep.
do it, and I'll give you a call and we'll talk about things. Take care, guys, good night.
We'll see you later.
Take care, good seeing you again.
Okay, moving on, approval of the December 30th, 2014 minutes. Everybody had a chance to look at them? Is there a motion to accept?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. The minutes from the organizational meeting, January 2nd, 2015. Is there a motion to accept as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The annual financial report for the fire district. Everybody had a chance to take a look at that? Is there a motion to accept the annual financial report for the Delhi Joint Fire District?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Committee reports, highway machinery,
Darren?
Good news, I don't know if I wanna speak too soon, but I got a call today from International that our truck will be here tomorrow. The one we've been waiting for 2 months. So, it'll be new to us at this point. So it's supposed to come in tomorrow, it's supposed to be all complete and it should be here.
You know what time it's coming? I thought maybe we'd have a band or something.
I don't wanna jinx it. And I actually told him on the phone, I don't want any bells and whistles, I just want the truck here.
Yeah.
We need it. So, like I said, fingers crossed on that one, this would be good. Put it right to use. Our Grizzly screen, we have that's been put to use, and that is perfect timing for that, especially with this cold weather. That's
Working well?
Yeah, it works
Got enough
great.
room around the box to get to it?
Yep, works
Good.
great.
What is it, a grizzly screen?
Yep, yeah, it's a screen for the grip that we use, so we don't waste, obviously that stuff freezes about 3 foot thick on the top. So, it saves a lot of waste, saves a lot of time.
Saves a lot of keeps men from being up on top of the box beating it with a shovel.
Yep, been a long time coming, something we should have had years and years ago, but it works great, it's
Mhm.
working great. That was made by Cater Welding in Stanford. He did a phenomenal job and a very reasonable price too. Quite impressed with that, so that was good.
Looks good down there.
You know, they're actually gonna use it as an example for other towns or any contractors, anybody that may want it. The design turned out perfect, so that worked out good for us too. And besides that, I guess we've been looking at, obviously, what we talked about before, some used equipment, used ten-wheelers, and state bid pickup truck also. We've been, I guess, researching that pretty good, looking for approval to continue that as far as what we budgeted in for.
Yeah, we definitely have needs, there's no doubt about that.
We found some decent used ones at this point right now up in Vermont, but certainly no time to go look at them quite yet. We've been a little bit too busy for that. So it's all pending on what we can look at and what we can still find too. Don't want to settle for something that's gonna just because we have to have it right now, so find the best option for us. And we only got one truck down at this time. The gearbox went in the drive chain for the sander in our old 10-wheeler. Parts should be coming. They were supposed to come today. UPS never showed up, so hopefully tomorrow. That's it. Any questions?
How's the grip pile holding up?
All right. Probably still gonna get some more broad in here when the weather gets back into the double digits.
Yeah,
But Seward, sand, and gravel, they'll still,
we'll still.
yep, for that price that they set. And they do have time to do it, so we will be getting some more in, just to be safe. We gotta get it in sometime anyway, whether it's now or
Yeah.
summer.
What did you find with that Oshkosh today?
Frozen. So, excuse my appearance, by the way, also I had to lay on under it, the middle of Peaksbrook Road, yep, completely frozen.
Compressor's fine?
What's that?
The compressor's fine then?
Seems to
Other
be,
than frozen?
yep, seems to be. Airlines froze in it, and actually the transmission and everything there actuated, so it had nothing at that point. It would go in the gear, but it wouldn't go anywhere. Everything was neutral. So we charged the airlines, got it back in, thawed it out, and it does seem to be fine at this point. After a cold few hours. Alright, any other questions?
Questions? No,
Okay.
That's that. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
Health and youth.
We opened the ice rink this weekend, and it was successful. All of you were there, and Bill helped set it up, so he wasn't there. You were out of town, I think, right? But we had 60 people show up, even though it was in the teens, and everybody was very excited about it. And then the next day, they all came back.
I was there about 3 o'clock, and there was probably 10 or so still there.
Yeah, it was exactly what we were hoping for. And then today, the Jim Shields from Downsville came over because they set up their rink, and he wanted to see how ours looked and how we operate, what we do with skates and everything. So, in case people don't know, they saw what we did last year and they did it this year. They, volunteers and funded it themselves and stuff. So that was an outcome of something that we did last year. Now they have one in Downsville. So the way that it operates, just so people know, is that all the skates are now stored in the bathhouse up there. There's 2 doors. There's one on the left where the skates are stored. There's one on the right, which is a bathroom, and you can change there, heated. And I open the door in the morning and I close it at night. So the official hours for this rink are 8 to 8, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The lights are not installed yet, so you'll have a hard time skating after 5 p.m. right now. But it's there. There's no excuse to not go skating. The skates are there, and the ice is there. The bathroom's there. There's a fire pit, and there's even wood there that you can use if you are going to stay there and tend it. So that's the ice rink. Thanks to Bill and to who helped you when you were loading it? Tim Murray, they used the fire department tanker truck and filled it, and we filled it also using the new bathroom water supply. So again, it was a big group effort. There's too many people to name, but I will name them, and I'll probably put a letter out. Also, I just want to let people know that the film festival, the Catskill Mountain Film Festival for 2015 has been scheduled for June 12th through 14th. That's a youth-focused film festival, so that's why I'm mentioning it in the Health and Youth Report. And June 12th through 14th is when it's happening, and they received a New York State decentralization grant for that. It's $5,000, which is a good chunk of their budget. That just is evidence that it's been successful and is well received. And then just wanted to let people know that with the snow is also cross-country skiing at the golf course, so that's something that I encourage people to check out because it's the best exercise in the world. That's the Health and Youth Report. Unless, Bill, you might have something to add to it, sorry.
I have nothing else to add.
Okay.
Economic development, shared services.
We are continuing our efforts at Ames at the moment, working with Glenn Nealis, hoping to get some kind of positive response. So we haven't got a lot of response back. We do have some back, some are reconsidering, so we're waiting to see what happens. There's some other things that we're working on at the moment. Too early to really put a lot of information out there on what else is up, but some exciting things are coming down the road.
That one I would just add the flood commission. We did the.
Yeah.
So the flood commission is a shared service activity between the town and the village, and the flood commission meets monthly. Last month we agreed to appoint Delaware County Soil and Water Conservation District, so we've done that. We've appointed them as the lead agency for soliciting bids for our local flood analysis, so they're on top of that. And we'll meet again Thursday, or maybe we'll talk about changing that after this meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
Works better for me.
recreation, anything else?
Nothing new. We will, again, we're waiting on some information back from Ben Henbecky on some design changes for the pool. As soon as we get, his answers, we're gonna be ready to bid, so that'll be our next move. I do have some concerns about the playground. At this point, obviously, it's closed down, but there is a lot of things that need to happen down there. There's some security issues with that location. I think, the only thing I can say right now is I'm hoping that, once the pool is up and running, that'll all be incorporated under the same umbrella, and probably security will be a little better down there than it has been. So I think people should just understand that we are moving forward with that, and eventually that playground will be lit and monitored better than it is now. There are some issues with some illegal activities going on down there, and it's hard to stay on top of it all the time, so, but we are going to address it soon.
Is there any talk about moving the playground from the wooded area closer to the pool
Well,
site?
once the pool and the pool house is all there, it won't seem as far. It actually will be kind of closer than it is now, so it'll be all incorporated into the same fencing and everything, so it'll just be a better situation once that's all done. But we really can't do much about it until that happens.
Personnel.
Nothing this month,
Okay.
nothing in the buildings. We had some heat issues and had them resolved again.
Again. Is it staying resolved?
The only thing I wanna mention under buildings is that Darren may have some issues over in the highway building in regards to some electrical problem.
I haven't heard about that.
We'll probably need a couple ground faults, outlets put in.
Are these part of the insurance?
Part of it's the insurance.
Okay. Yeah. We have several issues in this building too.